Good afternoon, everyone. So a few days ago, Kamala Harris took the stage and attacked Donald Trump and Mike Pence and blamed them for everything bad associated with COVID. All the people that had died of COVID, that's Donald Trump's fault. All the people that are out of work, that is also Donald Trump's fault.
The case against Donald Trump and Mike Pence is open and shut. Just look where they've gotten us. More than 16 million out of work. Millions of kids who cannot go back to school. A crisis of poverty, of homelessness, afflicting Black, brown, and indigenous people the most. A crisis of hunger, afflicting 1 in 5 mothers who have children that are hungry. And tragically, more than 165,000 lives that have been cut short. Many with loved ones who never got the chance to say goodbye. It didn't have to be this way.
It didn't have to be this way, and it is all Donald Trump's fault. It's all Mike Pence's fault that many people are out of work. And the question that I would love to have asked her is, do you know why people are out of work? Because the lockdowns. Why are people locked down? Because you're trying to mitigate COVID. And from a partisan standpoint, which party has been in stronger support of the lockdowns? Let me hear it. The Democrats. So at the same time, you want to blame Donald Trump for people being out of work. You are the party that is pushing the lockdowns, which keeps people from going to work. The lack of self-awareness here is astounding. It's absolutely ridiculous. And of course, she takes absolutely no questions. The second she is done speaking, she flees the podium and answers absolutely no questions. So no reporter has any chance to ask her any of these questions and call her out on her stupidity. And then she goes on to compare coronavirus to Ebola.
6 years ago, in fact, we had a different health crisis. It was called Ebola. And we all remember that pandemic. But you know what happened then? Barack Obama and Joe Biden did their job. Only 2 people in the United States died. 2. That is what's called leadership. But compare that to the moment we find ourselves in now.
So there you have it. If Donald Trump and Mike Pence were just better leaders, if they were a little bit more, or a lot more, like Joe Biden and Barack Obama, then the COVID outbreak in the U.S. would look much like the Ebola outbreak. So I would love to hear what mitigation efforts the Obama and Biden administration used to make sure that the Ebola outbreak didn't look like the COVID outbreak does right now. Did they shut down the entire country? No, of course not. The reality is, it turns out that Ebola, while being extremely deadly, is just not very transmissible. Ebola is transmissible much like an STD. You need physical contact, you need an exchange of bodily fluids, while COVID is a microscopic airborne virus that is highly transmissible. And when you look at the numbers on a global scale, when you look at how COVID has affected the entire world versus the effects of the entire world for Ebola, it is not even close. So here are the actual numbers from the Ebola crisis right here. So total cases worldwide, 28,652 versus, let's look at the coronavirus cases. Right now, global coronavirus cases are at over 21 million. And then when you look at deaths, total deaths of Ebola, 11,325 versus COVID, 765,000 deaths. And you look at how many countries were affected. Right here, we have 10 countries, 10 total countries affected by Ebola versus 215 countries from COVID. But Kamala Harris wants to make this absolutely retarded comparison. And is anyone going to fact check her? Is anyone going to call her out on it? Does anyone get to ask any questions on it? Of course not. And when you look at the countries that were affected, there was only 3 countries in the whole world that had case numbers in the thousands. Besides that, you had 7 more countries that had case numbers in the single digits, or Nigeria. They had 20 total cases. Let's look at Italy, for example. They handled COVID seemingly pretty bad. They really got hit hard in the beginning. They had 0 deaths. They had one case. They had 0 deaths from Ebola. They've had 35,000 from COVID. So that should tell you a little bit about how much more difficult it has been to try to mitigate the spread of COVID versus Ebola. But of course, no one's going to call her out on it. No one's going to fact check her. No one's going to say a word. The second she's done speaking, she's going to run away from the podium, and she's not going to answer a single question. And of course, I would love to also hear the magical solution in which how she can keep people from losing their jobs, how she can make sure no one is out of work, and also at the same time make sure that COVID doesn't spread. That'd be another great question to ask her. So I hope maybe next time she will actually take questions so we can hear the answers to all of these questions that are very intriguing. Anyway, hope you like my video. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe, and I will see you all next time.